Hello again, so I'm just back in from seeing Speed Racer, and when I mean just back in, I mean literally just back in from the cinema. I've still got my Indiana Jones Collector's Cup with my horribly overpriced flat Coke. Yeah. Speed Racer in a nutshell. Horrible, thin, predictable and cliche plot, but a freaking amazing spectacle that you absolutely have to see on the big screen because it will just make your jaw drop and take your breath away because it looks just so spectacular. See, now this movie was made by the Wachowskis, most famous for doing the Matrix trilogy, or more specifically the first Matrix, because a lot of people don't seem to like the second ones. I like them because they're a spectacle, but they're not as rich as the first one. But this isn't about that. See, what this is about is the Wachowskis just pushing the cinematic experience even further. They kind of changed the way people look at movies after the first Matrix, because it was just really different from almost everything else they've ever seen on the big screen. Speed Racer is the same kind of thing. It is shot unlike any other movie I have ever seen. The editing is spectacular, the way they transition, the way they tell stories with kind of flashback kind of things going on between them. It looks really, really good. Now, I haven't seen the cartoon since I was a kid, and even then I think I only saw a couple of episodes on it because it didn't show on TV much down in this part of the world. But, so I can't really compare the movie to the cartoon, but you can definitely see its cartoon roots. It's got a lot of wacky humour, a lot of it's pushed a little bit further than you would expect to see in a live-action type film. There are a few moments where you just go, that really didn't work so well on the big screen. I can see it working in the cartoon, but maybe not here. Maybe they should have just left that bit out. But overall, it's an amazing experience. I sat in the cinema, and apart from, well, actually, I'll get to that bit later, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Now, it is not non-stop action! When the action is happening, it just completely consumes your entire world. Okay, there is nothing else but the action going on the screen. It is awesome! And then the action stops. And when I say the action stops, I mean the action stops. The transition between action and awesome and woo! The bits that kind of push the plot forward and they give you a little dialogue and exposition and a smidgen of character development and things like that. But when this stuff happens, everything comes to a screeching halt and it's a little bit jarring, and the kids that were in the cinema with me, freaking kids, they noticed the screeching halt in action because then they started getting restless and their 2-second attention span disappeared into a nanosecond attention span, and they started chatting amongst themselves and screaming and talking to the mothers. And if you're going to take your kids to the cinema, please make sure that they have an attention span that's going to last the movie. Okay? Because when they get restless and start chatting and stuff, and you do nothing to shut them the hell up, it ruins the experience for the rest of us in the cinema. It becomes quite distracting and a little bit annoying. The only thing I really hated about this movie was Speed Racer's kid brother, Spittle Racer or something, stupid name, utterly forgettable. The kid actor they got to play this guy is a complete ham. And what makes it worse is I've got a funny feeling the Wachowskis, every time this kid was supposed to do his thing on screen, they just sort of intravenously pumped him full of sugar and, go kid, ham it up! It got really, really tiresome, and I grew to loathe him utterly. The rest of the casting I didn't have a problem with. Speed Racer himself was awesome, Racer X was awesome, Speed's family, they were all great. Especially John Goodman as Pops Racer, because you can't not love that guy every time he's on screen. I've never seen him, no matter how bad the movie is that he is in, and he's been in some shocking movies. He's always the one thing that almost saves it for me, but he didn't really need to save this movie for me, but he was fantastic and very enjoyable to watch on screen. Anyway, this has already gone on longer than I intended to go on. In a nutshell, in a little power ball of thought, go see this movie on the big screen. Don't expect a deep, thoughtful, introspective examination of what it's like to be a race car driver, because you're not going to get that. And if you go to this movie expecting that, you're an idiot. It's a popcorn movie. It's a spectacle. It's there to just make you go, "Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. That is really awesome." The final word, if you're not convinced to go see this movie yet, Kung Fu in cars. Well, actually, that's a misnomer. It's not Kung Fu in cars. It's Kung Fu with cars. They use the cars to perform Kung Fu. Kind of. And it's really, really cool. Catch you next time, and keep your kids out of my cinema, you bastards.